Broadcasting worldwide to make a difference. This is Positive Impact Radio.
Hey, if you love to travel, and I don't think there's anybody that would say, no, I don't like to travel. No, I don't like to go to the Caribbean. I never like to cruise. I don't even like to take a drive for a few hours and go to a different destination. No, we all love to travel. I found somebody who is an expert. She really knows her stuff. We're going to look at 5 fabulous favorite destinations today with Pat, who is with Dancing Moon Travel. She's back on the program. Hey, Pat, how are you?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
So good to have you back here. I know you're a super busy person with what's going on in the travel industry right now. And let's call it the news update. This is our Pat Travel News Update. Before we get into today's topic with the 5 fabulous favorite destinations, any breaking travel news? What's going on right now?
Well, Steve, I think probably the most interesting news I've come across this past week is the Global Peace Index released their annual ranking of the world's safest countries. No change in the safety leader. Iceland has been in that position since 2008, Steve. And Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia take the top 5 spots. And these are the safest destinations on planet Earth. Singapore, Portugal, Slovenia, of all places, Japan, and Switzerland round out the top 10. Steve, this is interesting because I occasionally hear from potential clients, they're just afraid to travel internationally. But I think it's really funny to note that the USA came in a dismal 131st place out of 163 nations.
I have no words.
You know?
Yes, and it's funny because we've talked about me thinking of going to Japan with my son, who is 17, and I'm going to be honest with you. I've been everywhere in the Caribbean, sometimes 4 times over in different islands. Just been blessed, worked there, never been overseas. And, I look at Japan, I'm like, I don't know, I guess it's safe. Hearing this, wow, and then looking at the USA, out of Japan is within the top 10 and the USA is 131 out of 163. Pretty scary.
Yeah, it really is. I think if cautious travelers need to find a better excuse not to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And watch her back here in the U.S. Interesting stuff. I would have never figured any of that. So it sounds like we should really go home at this point, pack our bags, and go someplace safe. And where are we going to go today? What are we talking about?
Well, Steve, one of the things people are always asking me about my personal favorite destinations. And so I thought it might kind of be fun to just share my personal short list. And I'm going to tell you, these are in no particular order at all because I could not possibly rank them. Every one of them is number 1 in my book. To me, Pat, when you have kids, it's almost hard to say which one is your favorite. Sometimes it'll change from time to time, let's be honest, as parents. But yeah, they're all your babies. And I view that with somebody like you that is so into travel. Every destination, these 5 are kind of like your baby. So let's go. In the Pat top 5 list in no particular order, where are we going first? I'm going to start with Alaska, Steve, because it's just absolutely awesome. It's the easiest for U.S. citizens to get to. Actually, it's part of the U.S., and it's a very safe part of the U.S., I might add. I guess probably you've got the mountains, the glaciers, wildlife, incredible floral displays. That surprised me my first visit. Bears are a perennial favorite of our customers. August is actually the best time. Just a hint, if bears are the top of your bucket list, that's the height of the salmon run, and the bears follow the salmon. So depending where you are, you can see moose. And actually, Steve, this is something, there are over 1,000 moose that live in Anchorage, inside the city limits.
Wow.
So you have, and then you have the caribou, whales, grizzly bears, doll sheep, all kinds of wildlife there. If you're an active adventurer, so much to do, hiking and kayaking, fishing, great food. Truly, it's really something for everyone, and there's so many ways that you can go. You can do the standard cruise, do the cruise tour, self-drive, do the rail, or escorted tours. So all of those, I would say, but it's just amazing.
So I have a Facebook friend who is in Alaska right now. Can't tell you where exactly. And, it's somebody I was connected to many years ago, and we're just Facebook friends right now. But the pictures were spectacular. The glaciers, the water, all of that. And I thought to myself, I wonder what the temperature is like there. I wonder if it's that cold this time of year. No, it's like 73 degrees.
Right. Yeah. It can get up to the 90s if you're inland like Fairbanks. It's surprising. It can, and it can change quickly.
Sure.
I can tell you when we were in Skagway a few weeks ago, we got off of the ship there, and it was like a wind tunnel. It was cold. So you don't want to go up there without having your layers and a good windproof midweight jacket.
Gotcha.
No matter what time of year. Yeah.
So Alaska is on our top 5 list. Where else? What other amazing place can we explore, Pat?
Well, here's another one that's just no less awesome: the Amazon River. This was just an incredible experience. In fact, honestly, Steve, there were a couple of times during our trip I was just looking out into the jungle, and just it was hard to process what I was seeing. It was like I was on a different planet at times. I hadn't expected that it would be such a learning experience. Listeners, if you are a lifetime learner, or for our adventure travelers, Amazon really, really belongs on the bucket list. You've got the incredible wildlife. There are pink dolphins that actually they're unique to the Amazon. There are pink dolphins in the river, sloths, monkeys, capybaras, the anacondas. We actually saw one, but it was captive. It wasn't loose. You have this thing called the meeting of the waters, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles, where the Amazon and Rio Negro come together, and it's like nowhere else on the planet. One of the little stories about when we were there, our first stop as we went upriver was a city called Santarem. Very modern. They have all the modern conveniences, but our tour guide had never been outside of her city three times in her whole life. She was probably in her mid-30s, and she'd never left the city because there's no roads. So if you can imagine living all of those years, she'd been up the river twice and down river once, and that was, otherwise she had lived inside the city limits her entire life.
Wow.
Can you imagine, Steve? Can you imagine catching piranha?
Can't even. I've seen him in a tank. That's about it.
Yeah, you can. We actually fished for piranha, and then they cooked them up. They had a little kitchen on board our tour boat, and it is absolutely delicious. And those teeth are every bit. They are. It's like they have a mouthful of razors. Do not touch.
So let's say we pick the Amazon. What's the travel time there? Pick any place. Let's say you're based in Florida. We're going from Florida. How long does it take to get there?
Well, if you fly down there and do something land-based, most of the flights are overnight. You'd probably fly into somewhere like Manaus, and it's going to be a 10-hour flight, roughly.
Okay.
From at least for us here in Florida.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we actually flew back, but we went down. We got on a small ship, and we did the Caribbean. We did a 14-day cruise that took us down through the Caribbean and then 1,000 miles up the Amazon. It was truly amazing.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's something to think about, flying and then cruising back, depending on where your destination is. Got to add that one to the bucket list. All right, so that's number 2. So we have Alaska, the Amazon, number 3 on Pat's top 5. Where are we going?
I'm going to take us to Croatia this time, Steve. Um, just a little bit of the background. I first visited Croatia about 3 years ago. It was 2020. And Steve, it was so nowhere on my radar, much less my bucket list. It just, I just got one of those invitations that occasionally come along for travel agents, and with the pandemic, of course, I hadn't been anywhere in 2 years. This was just when travel was opening up, so I jumped on it with both feet. Sure, sign me up. And I have never been so surprised in my entire life. I literally just fell in love with that. It's just a magical destination. Croatia checks off all the boxes, and it's not just me, but it's literally every person that we have booked to travel there just comes back absolutely enamored of that destination. It kind of has everything because you've got these kind of the architecture. You've got this Romanesque and the Baroque and the Renaissance all rolled together there, dating back centuries. And we're not talking about ruins here, Steve. These are functional structures that go back centuries old, and they currently house families and businesses. And then there's centuries of history, rich culture. The food is fabulous. They have something for everyone. Lots of really, really 5-star restaurants there. Plus, you can get your burgers and fries and pretty much anything you want. Safety. It's an incredibly safe destination. I wandered around in the evenings a lot of times by myself. Great for adventurers with hiking and scenery, waterfalls. And you know, Steve, here's what I recommend if possible for people. You can actually, arrange a group. It could be any kind of group, but you could have a group of 20 people and charter your own yacht. Just bring along friends and family, business associates, whoever you want to travel with. We actually did that twice. We did that for groups twice last year. One was a kind of a friends and family, and the other was a group of photographers. And I was on board for one of those two groups. The camaraderie is just amazing when you do a trip like that.
Can't even imagine. Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have never even, like you, thought of Croatia. What time of year did you go, and about what was the temperature?
We went, first trip I made was in September, and daytimes were about in hitting the low to mid 80s. We would have once we got on the yacht, we'd have swim stops every afternoon. The Adriatic was just perfect. It was just crystal clear blue water and just the right temperature. It was amazing.
Wow. Okay. All right. Things you learned. That's why we talk about it here. So we've got Alaska, we've got the Amazon, Croatia. Top 5 list of places to visit that Pat has been to from Dancing Moon Travel. What's next on our list?
And now this is what I'm going to kind of paint with a broad brush here, Steve. I'm just going to say European river cruise. I probably recommend either doing the Danube or Rhine for the first timers, but it's such a civilized and convenient and just delightful way to visit the interior of Europe. They're small vessels. They accommodate 130 to 190 passengers, and you've got this delightful, relaxed onboard experience. You're in a different port each day. You get on and off as well, and the providers. It depends on which provider. We have several that we use, but but virtually all of them include some of your excursions, and some of them have several options for you to select from. Your dining is included, and most of the time these providers have regionally inspired menus. Many of them include beverage packages, so it's just a great value, and it's so convenient. And the good news is it's really almost impossible to book a bad river cruise. Every provider does a very good job. We especially, I'm going to name drop here a little bit, but Dancing Moon, we kind of like Ama and Avalon for those looking for a really good mid-range provider that's pretty inclusive, or if you're looking for a 5-star, everything you can think of included, we go with Talc and Uniworld for those clients generally.
I love what we're talking about here because these are things I and most of us would have never even considered when it comes to travel, and especially that type of river cruise. So we've gotten 4 so far. We said we're doing the top 5, so therefore we have to kick in a drum roll of Pat's top 5 travel places on the planet. And these are places that you visited. What would be, and by the way, no particular order, what would be number 5, Pat?
Number 5 is Ireland. It is such a popular destination. I have 2 clients over there traveling right now with families. And I think probably I've booked more Ireland than any other destination, with the possible exception of Alaska in the past 18 months. It's just a perennial favorite. You recall that we said it's one of the safest countries, so there's that, of course. It's beautiful. It's called the Emerald Isle for a reason. Stunning scenery. Our clients just return enchanted because one of the things that they love is that the people in Ireland are so warm and friendly. They're so welcoming. And, of course, they do speak a particular brand of English, so easy to connect with the culture there when you're at least speaking the same language. And there's just so many ways that you can approach a trip, and every trip is different because we want to customize to reflect the client's interests and preferences. So some want to be very active, and we've got some 2 couples booked that are really into the hiking thing, and we've got them exploring the back roads and miles of trails. And one of the experiences that a lot of our clients and one of the families that's there now is going to be doing this one tomorrow. Actually, it's falconry. It's big in Ireland, and you actually get to take hikes with these amazing birds of prey, and you actually get to have them on your arm and kind of handle them. For many people, they come back if they do that. That's one of the fondest memories. It's one of those lifetime things that you just never forget.
Wow.
And Steve, another thing that people are into, if you're into castles, you just can't hardly find a better place to go. There are castles there that are still standing and being used, and there are ruins that you can wander around. Great for photographers, by the way. How about high tea at Ashford Castle? Doesn't that just, it's just an amazing thing. And we can book you there, too. A lot of the castles do have accommodations, so you can actually do a castle stay, and we include a castle stay for probably over half of our clients want to do at least one night in a castle. And here again, Steve, I'm going to tell you there are so many ways that you can approach a trip. You can do the self-drive. A lot of our clients do self-drive. For the less adventurous, there are great escorted tours there where everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything. But, for the ultimate experience, if we've got any people who want the ultimate out there, car and driver, we can do the private car and driver. I got a guy.
I use that all the time. I got a guy for everything.
Yeah,
but not for that, though. Not for that, Pat.
Yeah. Well, if I can just insert a shameless word of self-promotion here, our custom group, we've been doing a customized tour. We put together, handpick every experience and accommodation. Our 2023 group is filled, but we have just, listeners, listen here, one room left on our September 2024 trip. Here again, we've got every experience is hand selected, and I actually do have one of my associates who's been with me since 2010. He doesn't book travel; he does a lot of other things for us, but he lives outside of Dublin, so we do have somebody on the ground there who's a great resource for us when I need something that maybe isn't exactly on the radar, maybe a little unusual.
Well, this is why we always say to work with a travel professional, because they've got the inside information. There you go. You have, a custom tour that you're offering, and it's going to be custom and very personalized, where you're not going to get that when you're plunking down, some numbers on a website and just, checking off some boxes and giving your credit card. Not going to happen. And it's so reasonable in terms of what it costs you to have a travel professional. It's almost a no-brainer why you wouldn't do that. You're spending all this money on a lifetime vacation. Why not have somebody hold your hand through the whole entire process? I'm Irish. My grandmother, mother's side, came, as we like to say, right off the boat from Ireland. Is it as lush as everybody says it is?
It absolutely is, Steve. It's called the Emerald Isle, and it's great. You want to always take your rain gear, because one of the reasons is kind of like we are down here. You can expect a rain shower pretty much several times a week, and that's pretty much year-round. I recommend people travel. We like late April and May, or going September into early October are really great times in my opinion, because you have you don't have the crowds that you find in June and July, early August. If you just and you also have a little cooler temperatures, a little more moderate, and they tend sometimes to be a little drier times in the fall, particularly. So,
wow. Your top 5 list is my bucket list. It's fantastic. And you vetted it out. This is not just some random list. These are places you've been to. You know the ins and outs. And listen, if we didn't mention maybe your dream vacation on that top 5 list, I'm sure Pat has been there or has the info and the insight and the inside information as well. How do we find you, Pat, if somebody wants to ask questions, maybe book something?
Thanks, Steve. If anybody wants to find us, I recommend you go to our website, dancingmoontravel.com, and there you'll find information about, we have a total of 6 agents strategically located around the U.S. so we can serve people better, and you can see their bios and choose the agent that you want to work with. You can always email me here, pat@dancingmoontravel.com, or give me a call, 404-735-5774. We answer the phone.
Imagine that. So I beg of anybody, pick up the phone and try to call one of those travel services. There's one that starts with an E and it ends with an A, and there's other ones. Good luck. Not going to happen. Not going to happen unless you want to complain. And good luck getting them on the phone at that point. Pat is available, and not only does she have a guy, she's got a staff that can help you out. DancingMoonTravel.com. Love the top 5 list, Pat. Thank you so much for being here, and look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Okay, Steve. Take care.
Broadcasting worldwide to make a difference. This is Positive Impact Radio. Learn more at PositiveImpactRadio.com.